Welcome back to the program. Well, joining me now to discuss all sorts of stuff happening in the UK is former Reform UK candidate Mayuran Sentilnathan. Mayuran, thank you so much for joining me. So many things are happening right now, and I want to talk first about the politics of reform. Another Tory has defected to reform, this time Robert Jenrick. What can you tell us about this? What is the significance for the Tories? And crucially, what does it mean for reform if they start absorbing so many Tories that maybe they start to pick up some of their bad habits?
Yeah, good question. And this is a seismic defection. This isn't an ordinary person crossing the floor from the Conservative Party reform. Robert Jenrick, there are some MPs who have championed the 14 years of Tory Conservative rule, and there are some MPs who have been wounded by 14 years of Tory rule. And I would say Robert Jenrick is the latter. He went into the Home Office and was effectively radicalised by the incompetence of government and how they couldn't control their borders. And as a result, he's kind of had this massive conversion in his ideology and his perspective on how the country should be run. And he's made it perfectly clear that even if Kemi Badenoch were to become Prime Minister, the rot within the Conservative Party, the complacency, simply would mean that they wouldn't be able to govern as radically as is necessary to save the country from oblivion. Now, Farage is obviously the leader of, as you said, it is leader of Reform UK. And the question is this: are we accepting too many Conservatives? And I would say, look, you need to balance the situation. Reform is a start-up party. It is something that is an insurgent party. It needs government experience, and it needs the right people who know how to navigate the civil service, the quangos, the judiciary. All of these things are really important, and Robert Jenrick is one of those people. And I would say this, that many people were clinging on to the Conservative Party simply because of Robert Jenrick. And now that he's moved across to Reform, I think you're going to see the floodgates open. You could see the demise of the oldest political party in history actually go towards extinction. And I'll leave you with one more point, is that Nigel Farage has said that he's looking for a successor at some point in the future. And he said he's looking for someone who's younger and better looking, as he put it. I wonder if Robert Jenrick could be that person to lead Reform UK going forward.
It's fascinating, and I think everybody in Australia needs to watch what's happening here, because there are a lot of lessons for our own Liberal Party in Australia. Now, other news, though, this just amazed me. There's a right-wing influencer called Ava Vlaardingerbroek. I hope I can pronounce that right. She has had her travel visa cancelled to the UK simply because she goes online and she criticizes the Starmer government and says that, you know, they've covered up things like the rape gangs and things like that. This seems like a very totalitarian move, but also very petty from the Starmer government.
Yeah, I mean, socialists love big states. They love a big state, and a big state needs authoritarianism to run itself. And authoritarianism needs to clamp down on free speech. Free speech is the great enemy of the socialists. So it's not surprising that people like Ava are being banned from Britain. I mean, she is allied with Tommy Robinson, who's an activist, an anti-Islam activist. She's also been, as you said, highly critical of Keir Starmer. The thing about Keir Starmer is this: anybody who's mildly patriotic is deemed as far right. And when we had these tragic cases of the Southport riots and Southport actual peaceful protests in some situations, most situations, he labelled them as far right. When people wanted a national inquiry into the mass rape gangs, he labelled them as jumping on a far right bandwagon. And so everyone's questioning, why are we allowing tens of thousands of illegal migrants, of unknown documented men, some of whom have been actual Iranian terrorists, we've actually confirmed that, and who are actually committing sexual assaults almost on a daily or at least weekly basis on British citizens? We're allowing these people in en masse, but we're not allowing Ava in. There was an Egyptian citizen who called for the anti-white violence, and he was welcomed with open arms by Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. And you've seen also Keir Starmer looking to try and ban X. So anything that is vaguely patriotic, free speech orientated, pro-British, Keir Starmer cracks down on it, because fundamentally he is anti-British. We have an anti-British Prime Minister.
I think you're absolutely right there, and you're right to draw these links between all these different sort of moves. But one thing also, this is really terrifying to me. The Telegraph is reporting, the UK Telegraph, not my Daily Telegraph, is reporting that the Online Safety Act that the government there has passed, they are going to require encrypted messages that you send to your friends or business contacts or whatever through Signal or WhatsApp to be scanned before they are encrypted and sent to the government so that they can scan them to make sure you haven't committed any thought crime or anything like this. I mean, what's next? Are they going to put chips in our head to make sure that we don't think the wrong thing?
Yeah, I mean, this comes off the back of the desire to push mandatory digital ID, which they've now turned to voluntary digital ID, another U-turn. And yes, we have to understand that this government hates the British people. They see them as children. They see them as people they have to clamp down on. We've already seen local elections coming in May. A lot of these local elections are being cancelled. And what you see in the British Prime Minister and the Labour Party is they're not running on, they're not governing the country. They're not leading the country. They're operating on fear. They are scared of the British people. And that's why they're getting authoritarian. Not only of the British people, they're scared of their own backbenchers who are going to rebel. They're scared of Islam. They're scared of Donald Trump and China. They're scared of Nigel Farage and the Green Party. They're scared of the markets because of the debt crisis. They're running on fear. They're running on paranoia. And this is yet another example of how they're going to invade our privacy, literally invade our phones in real time and monitor the situation. Now, they've come back and said that these powers will only be used in extreme circumstances and where there's a case for, child abuse and so on. But we all know how this starts. This is the slippery slope. The gate has been opened to effectively monitoring our phones in real time on a daily basis. And that is a huge encroach on our personal liberties.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you think about where this goes, with all of the talk about hate crimes and hate speech, it's not going to be about drug dealers and arresting pedophiles, is it? It's going to be about, the ordinary people in Britain, because 12,000 people a year get a knock on the door from the cops, don't they? Just quickly.
Yeah, so I mean, if you put it exactly right, we've got non-crime hate incidences which have been policed far more stringently than, say, burglaries or any kind of sexual assault or anything like that. So when you put that as the context for this kind of situation, it is quite chilling.
Mayuran Sentilnathan, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. Always a treat to chat about what is going on in an increasingly authoritarian Britain.